This is a demonstration of Flip4Mac.
Again, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to the webinar tonight. We will try to be as punctual and brief as possible without negating any of the specific details. So I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us this evening. And with that being said, I'd like to begin the webinar first and foremost by simply talking about the pillars of our practice.
This is a demonstration
Very
of
briefly, when
Flip4Mac.
we discuss the pillars of the practice, there are a few things which we hold in high regard, which govern the way we operate. First and foremost, we talk about industry knowledge. Specifically in this industry, the knowledge base doubles every 5 years. What that means is what you knew 5 years ago is irrelevant. Industry knowledge is constantly changing, which means if you're not staying abreast of modern concepts, new concepts, then obviously you're behind the curve.
This is a demonstration
The second
of
thing I
Flip4Mac.
want to address is integrity. Simply stated, there are some things that are more important than the bottom line, whereas some people may look at a client as a certain dollar figure. We believe in educating the client to the best of our ability to ensure they make an informed decision about what's best for their household. So again, there are some things we will not compromise, and we hold this in high regard. And lastly, I want to discuss leadership.
This is a demonstration
Specifically,
of
we
Flip4Mac.
deal with the fact that we are actually leaving the worst recession since the Great Depression. Many people are in situations that they never imagined themselves being in. So our role and our obligation and our duty as leaders, we want to lead the way out of this situation, but more importantly, we want to provide the guidance to ensure people do not end up in the same situations again, which they are in now. Those are the pillars of our practice.
This is a
This is what
demonstration
governs how
of
we
Flip4Mac.
operate, and these are the things that we won't compromise. Very briefly, I want to talk about the sign of the times, specifically the industrial age versus the information age. When we talk about the industrial age and the information age, there once was a point in time where the company was responsible for an individual's retirement. What that meant is your scholastic or your academic IQ was more important than anything else.
This is a
Typically, you were taught to
demonstration
go to
of
school,
Flip4Mac.
get a job. The better grades you make, the more the job is going to pay you. When you retire, the job is going to give you a nice pension, and everything's going to be great. Well, that's no longer the case anymore, because now we actually live in what's called the age of information. In the information age, the company is no longer responsible for your retirement. The employee is responsible for your retirement. Therefore, the government has allowed the advent of such instruments such as the IRA and more
This is a
popularly, the
demonstration
Roth
of
IRA.
Flip4Mac.
So whereas the scholastic IQ was important during the industrial age, in the information age, the thing that matters most is your financial IQ. Simply stated, if you do not understand the way money operates, you're destined for failure, regardless of how intelligent you are. If you do not understand the way money operates, you're destined for failure. With that being said, I simply want to let you know that what you don't know can
This is a
cost you. I
demonstration
want to provide
of
you with a few
Flip4Mac.
facts prior to heading into the specifics of the workshop, some of which are going to be very relevant to where we are currently as a country and more importantly where we're headed. The official U.S. debt is $15.7 trillion right now, and it's expected to surpass $20 trillion by the year 2020. What that means is the payments to service our debt are projected to exceed $1 trillion annually.
This is a
means our
demonstration
government is
of
going to spend
Flip4Mac.
$1 trillion per year to simply service debt, not to pay it down, but simply make the payment. Allow me to put that in perspective. That's enough money to pay the mortgage of every American homeowner for 3 years. Our government is going to spend $1 trillion, which is enough to pay the mortgage on every homeowner for 3 years. Our government
This
also
is a
spent
demonstration
$787
of
billion
Flip4Mac.
on the stimulus package and over $700 billion on bank bailouts. The problem with that is none of those things have worked. Then we take a look at the cost of this never-ending war in Iraq and Afghanistan, because again, these are all things that are going to have to be paid for by someone. We also take a look at the newly passed health care bill. Now again, I'm in favor of health care. I think it's a great idea. However, Where does
This
the
is a
money come from?
demonstration
Ultimately,
of
someone's
flip
going to
from
be
Mac.
responsible for paying for these things. And then lastly, we take a look at the cost of the BP oil disaster. Because again, what took place in the Gulf Coast is going to have financial impacts for years to come. And we haven't even began to experience the magnitude of what took place in that ecosystem. But ultimately, it's going to have a financial impact across this country, and we haven't taken those things into consideration. Over 50% of the United States debt is actually owed to foreign countries. What that means is America doesn't even own America anymore. Some analysts are actually saying that the only way out of this situation is to raise taxes, default on the debt, or do both. Now, some people don't feel that a default is a realistic possibility. However, if we look at what took place in August of 2011, the United States for the first time had its credit rating lowered.
This is a demonstration.
When that happened, people lost tons of money in the market. The reason being is because no one ever imagined that this country would be in a position where it could not pay its bills. And unfortunately, the situation is not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. I'll show that to you later. So the question I pose to you is, who will be responsible for repaying this massive amount of debt?
This is a demonstration.
Even though you didn't accumulate it, who's going to be responsible for paying for this debt? If you guess taxpayers, you're probably correct. But the real question I need to ask you is this. Will you be one of those people responsible for paying this debt back? Because I have no earthly desire whatsoever to do so, nor will I be. And by the time we're done with this workshop, you'll find out some different ways to avoid the taxation problem that's coming in the near future. Moving forward, the United States is also one of the world leaders in lawsuit filings. The United States accounts for approximately half of the liability insurance sold in the world. The liability insurance, that's what kicks in should you have a car accident or someone gets injured on your property. The liability insurance is what would actually kick in to pay those claims up until the point the coverage is maximized or exceeded. Once that coverage is exceeded, then you could personally become liable for whatever damages are still outstanding. The question I pose to you is, if someone were to sue you, would your assets be protected? When I meet with a lot of doctors, this is one of the main questions I pose them, because people in the medical profession, one of their greatest fears is a malpractice lawsuit. And unfortunately, most of them do not have their assets protected in a manner in which they're protected from creditors and predators. What I teach is very simple.
This is a demonstration of flip from Mac.
Financial planning is great. There's nothing wrong with the financial plan. I'm 100% in agreement with financial planning. However, protection planning is even greater. It makes no sense to make money if you can lose it all tomorrow. Unfortunately, the wealthier you become, the greater target you become in this country. If you ask me what separates myself from any other practice in this country, you're looking at it. Not only do we believe in financial planning, but we also believe in protection planning, which we'll go more in depth about that later on. I want to talk to you very briefly about a concept perhaps some of you may be familiar with, and that's the Rule of 72. I just want to recap this very briefly to provide you with the background of where we're headed. Very quickly, the Rule of 72 simply states if you take the interest rate you earn on your money, divide that into the number 72, it shows you how long it takes your money to double. So in this situation, someone earning a 3% rate of return,
this is a demonstration of flip
their
from
money
Mac.
would double every 24 years. An individual earning a 6% rate of return, their money would double every 12 years. And someone earning a 12% rate of return, their money would double every 6 years. So let's illustrate this and how it works. We take someone at the age of 21 who has $2,000 they want to save, and they do so in a 3% account. Now, applying the Rule of 72, a $2,000 account growing at 3% annually
This is a demonstration of flip from Mac.
$4,000 at age 45. Should that person continue to allow that money to accumulate, by age 69, they would have $8,000. The problem with that is no one looks forward to retiring on $8,000. It's not feasible. It's not a realistic expectation. So we take a look at doubling that rate of return from 3% to 6%. At a 6% rate of return, again, You have $4,000 at age 33.
This is a demonstration of Flip for Mac.
You have $16,000 at age 57, and then ultimately you'd end at $32,000 at 69. Again, that's a little bit better, but again, we're not looking forward to retiring on $32,000. So we go a step further and we take a look at a 12% rate of return. At a 12% rate of return, that money would actually grow from $2,000 to $512,000. When we look at this, this is a huge
demonstration
difference
of Flip for Mac.
From there. But we go a step further and we say, let's take a look at an 18% return. Now, most people say, is it possible to get 18%? And the reality is, several people, and perhaps some of you on this line, are actually receiving 18%, but it's simply not working for you. If we took that same $2,000 at an 18% return, folks, that would grow to $8.1 million.
This is a demonstration of Flip for Mac.
It's not a difference in the money. The difference is where we have that money working and the rate we have that money working. Now, typically when people see this concept, they ask if it works that way, and I say absolutely. And I can prove that to you time and time again. If you go to any bank that offers a credit card, most people would be ecstatic to get 18% on a credit card.
This is a
most
demonstration
credit card interest rates are
of Flip for Mac.
significantly higher than 18%. But yet if you go to a bank, you would be hard-pressed to find a CD or any other instrument paying you anywhere near 3%. In most cases, they're going to pay you significantly less, which means you're going to be working somewhere in this area, over there. Because the reality is, this is what they charge. They pay somewhere over here, which is typically less than 1%.
This is a demonstration of Flip for Mac.
So when you go to a bank, this is why they can afford to give you a free toaster, or they can tell you to open an account and we'll give you $100, because they're making significantly more than they ever pay out. Unfortunately, most people do not understand the rules of the game. However, just because you don't know the rules don't mean they don't apply to you. It simply means that they work against you instead of working for you.
This is a demonstration of Flip for Mac.
I pose the question to you. How many of you know someone who's losing safely in CDs? Most people put money in CDs because it's principal protected, and they want to ensure that they're not going to lose any money. Unfortunately, they're doing the exact opposite, because the longer it sits there, you actually lose money as it sits in a CD. Allow me to demonstrate that. If we were to take someone with a $10,000 deposit in a CD and assume they earn 2% annually, they would have made $200 for the year.
Of Flip for Mac.
Now, first of all, good luck finding 2% anywhere right now at any bank. It's just probably not going to happen. But if they did, that person would earn $200 for the year. What this means is their account value is now $10,200. However, you've now got to pay taxes on the $200 you made. Probably not a good situation. Then we take into consideration this factor called inflation.
This is a demonstration
now, understand
of
something.
Flip for
When we
Mac.
look at a 3.4% inflationary rate, our inflationary numbers do not take into consideration our largest two expenses, which are gas and food. Those two expenses are not included in the inflationary number. If they were, that number would be astronomically higher than what it is there. So what this simply means is that $10,000 account that earned $200 that year can only purchase you $9,810 worth of goods and services. The longer the money sits there, the more its buying power diminishes. Most people don't understand the concept of math, and this is why the wealthy get ahead and the others don't. But perhaps you've had someone make the following statement and say that their portfolio is up 50%. When people make that statement, my response is normally pretty simple. It never changes, I promise you. When I hear a statement such as that, I have one word that I answer with. Really? And this is why, because in most cases, people always tell you about the good years, but they never tell you about the bad years. No one comes to you and says, hey, you know what? I lost half my portfolio this year. People don't want to talk about those things. So I'm going to show you what they really mean when they say their portfolio is up 50%. So we're going to take a look at the year they didn't tell you about. Let's take
This is
someone
a
who had a
demonstration
$100,000
of
account value
Flip4Mac.
around 2008, 2009, or even 9/11. And let's say they lost 50% of that portfolio. Now, you had people that lost significantly more than that, but let's say they lost 50%. If they lost 50% of that portfolio, they would then have a $50,000 account value. Now, in the year they actually made 50%, let's take a look at that.
This is a demonstration
the
of
following year.
Flip4Mac.
So they have a $50,000 account value they're beginning with. They make 50% because this is the year they tell you about. What that really means is their account value is only $75,000 now. So their effective return is a negative 25%. And that's with the 50% gain. The problem with this is the market typically goes down a lot quicker than it comes up.
This is a
So traditional
demonstration
solutions to
of
this problem
Flip4Mac.
say this: don't sell now, we've hit the bottom. Many of you have probably heard that expression before. The problem with that is no one can actually predict a low point. If someone tells you we've hit bottom, ask them how do they know. Secondly, typically they'll say, now is the time to buy more because it's on sale. The problem with that is this:
This is a
if they knew there was going to
demonstration
be a sale,
of Flip4Mac.
why didn't we wait for the sale price as opposed to selling it to me at a premium? Why didn't we just wait for the discount? Or perhaps you've heard this one: we can only go up from here. Well, let's assume they're correct. Let's assume that we can only go up at this point. Let me explain something to you. A 100% return would break even. If you lose 50% of your portfolio, you would have to make 100%
This is a demonstration
simply
of
to break
Flip4Mac.
even. And I'm not saying it's impossible. However, the question I will ask you is this: when was the last time you earned 100% on anything? If you can name it, please tell me about it. I'd like to know about it. But if you can show me where you've earned 100% in any account, I'd be more than willing to listen to it. The problem is, folks, the reality is that doesn't happen. But I can assure you, you have people who've lost
This is a
significantly more than this
demonstration
number over here,
of
day in and day
Flip4Mac.
out. Again, as I stated before, it's not about what you make, it's what you keep. When in doubt, don't listen to me. I promise you, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. However, you should always listen to Warren's Rules of Investing. What do I mean? Most of you know the gentleman that's on your screen now. This gentleman is responsible for creating more millionaires through investing than anyone else in the
This is a
history of the stock market.
demonstration of
This
Flip4Mac.
gentleman has created more millionaires than anyone else. But his number one rule of investing is this. First of all, he says, never lose money. That's his number one rule of investing, which I happen to agree with. But I like his number two rule even better than his number one rule. His number two rule says, never forget rule number one. Again, these are the concepts which the wealthy understand. They understand leverage. They
This
understand
is a
the power of
demonstration
not
of
losing money.
Flip4Mac.
So how does this work? It's not a matter of if the market's going to fall again. It's a matter of when the market falls again, because there are certain things that happen and we know they're going to happen. What we do know is the market's going to go up, the market's going to go down. We know these things. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The question I pose to you: if you had a choice, would you rather have the green line here, or would you rather
This
have
is a
this blue line here?
demonstration of Flip4Mac.
And I'll give you a moment to respond. Okay, I see some people saying blue, blue, and I've yet to have anyone state they'd like to have the green line. However, this is where most people have money invested, in this area. This is showing you performance of the S&P 500 from the year 2000 to the year 2010.
This is a demonstration
What you're seeing
of
is,
Flip4Mac.
if you notice, from 2000 to 2004, there was a steady decrease in the market. However, if you look at this blue line, what you see is this person didn't lose any money when everyone else was losing 40, 50, 60, 70% of their life savings. This individual lost nothing. However, when the market did begin to recover, as you
This
see
is a
here,
demonstration of
the
Flip
blue
for
line
Mac.
also began to increase as well. But if we look in 2008, 2009, 2010, what we see is a second dip in the market. Again, people lost a ton of money. However, if we look at the blue line, if you notice, this line remained level. It's not about what you can make, it's what you can keep. When the market's
This
bad,
is a
you
demonstration
don't want to
of
lose
Flip
money.
for Mac.
But when the market's good, you just want to earn a nice percentage you can live with. Folks, these are the concepts that no one teaches in this particular society. These are the concepts which no one really grasps right now because too many people are looking for the big hit. However, time and time again, it's a lot easier to start from here as opposed to starting from here. And that's simply what we want to teach. These are the concepts we teach to our clients.
This is a demonstration
we
of Flip
teach
for
through our
Mac.
school districts. These are the concepts we teach through our companies. And I'm going to show you exactly how all of this applies. What it boils down to are two types of income. There are only two types of income regardless of what you do. There are only two ways you can make money. It's either going to be taxable or it's going to be tax-free. First of all, you're going to pay income taxes if you have a job, if you have a traditional IRA, if you have a 401k and begin taking distributions. You're going to pay income
This is a
taxes on those
demonstration
funds.
of Flip for Mac.
However, for those of you who like to invest, you're going to pay capital gains. Whether you make money in stocks, whether you make money in bonds or mutual funds, or even in real estate, anytime you make a profit, you're going to be subject to capital gains taxes. Now, my personal favorite falls in this category: no taxes. Now, you can do so if you can afford to invest in muni bonds. However, interest rates are not paying the greatest right
This
now,
is a
so that may not
demonstration
be a
of
feasible
Flip for
investment.
Mac.
Secondly, if you invest in a Roth IRA, great concept. However, if your income exceeds the stated threshold, you can't contribute to a Roth because you make too much income. The third vehicle that allows you to earn tax-free revenue is a life insurance policy. And when people see that, in most cases, they have no earthly idea how that works. Because when people think life insurance, they simply think, when I pass
This
away,
is
my
a
family's taken care
demonstration
of.
of Flip for Mac.
What that shows me is that they have not been educated on the living benefits of a life insurance policy. What exactly do I mean? We'll get to that momentarily, but I just want to lay the groundwork for where we're headed. So let's talk very briefly about the reason most of you logged in. We talk about our college funding plan, and I just want to share some very brief data with you. First of all, the cost of college is actually rising 6.5 times faster than the cost of living.
This is a
College costs are
demonstration
actually
of
rising,
Flip
but the
for
median
Mac.
household incomes are declining in this country. Public college costs are up 6.5% from last year, but private college costs are only up 4.4%, so there's about a 2% disparity there. 83% of college students at a private university receive some form of financial aid. 83% of students. Private colleges spend on average $21,000 simply
This
to
is a
educate a student.
demonstration
That's
of
what
Flip for
colleges are
Mac.
going to spend to educate a child. So some questions you may want to pose to yourself are follows. How do I position my financial situation to ensure my child can attend the college of their choice? Secondly, how can I encourage my child to begin planning for college at an early age? Or, how can I ensure a quality education for my child? If you're a parent, these questions have probably popped
This
into
is
your
a
head at some point or
demonstration
another.
of Flip for
And then
Mac.
lastly, if I have multiple children, how can I afford a college education for each and every one of them? Now, if you're like my wife and myself, this question is very relevant because we have more than one child. So this was a very major concern for us, and we're happy to be able to address it. We answer those questions with one response, and that is tuition rewards. When we talk about tuition rewards, you can earn guaranteed scholarships to private colleges and universities,
This
utilize
is
the
a
tuition rewards
demonstration
program.
of Flip for Mac.
You can also have colleges begin recruiting your child as early as their freshman year in high school. You can also fund multiple children with one plan. What this means is you do not have to set up a plan for each child. You can utilize one plan to pay for multiple children. There is also no market loss Remember, we talked about being able to make money when the market's good, protect our money
This
when the
is a
market's bad.
demonstration of Flip for Mac.
And then lastly, my personal favorite, access to the funds are income tax free. That's my personal favorite. You can probably tell I'm a tax-free guy. But what exactly are tuition rewards? Tuition rewards are actually a unique college savings program, and they work very similar to frequent flyer miles. But instead of you redeeming those points for airline flights, you would actually redeem those for college tuition.
This is a demonstration of Flip for Mac.
But who is Sage Scholars? Sage Scholars was actually founded by the former dean of admission at the University of Pennsylvania, and it's designed to bring together colleges and universities as well as investment companies and families. And we want to provide funding solutions for children to attend colleges across the country. So how exactly does the program work? We're going to cover this, and then I'm going to get into some specifics very soon. First of all, should one decide to purchase a life insurance policy through our company, they would get tuition rewards points on day one. Simply for meeting with us, even if they didn't purchase anything, they would get 500 points. Let me explain how the points work. Points translate to dollars. 1 point is equivalent to $1 towards tuition. So for meeting with us, not purchasing a thing, a family would receive 500 points for simply enrolling in the program.
This is a demonstration
of Flip for Mac. Should they find value in what we do and what we teach, and they decide to become a client, the moment they do so, they would get an additional 5,000 points added to their total. For every year their policy remains in force, they have 2,000 points added to their policy total. So let's take a look at an illustration. In year number one, should someone decide to purchase a policy, they would have 5,500 points.
This is a demonstration of Flip for Mac.
Or $5,500 in scholarship money towards tuition. In year number two, that total would grow to 7,500. In year number three, it would grow to 9,500. Year number four would grow to 11,500. Year number five would be 13,500. You can add as many children to your account as you choose to, and they do not have to be your biological children. It could be a child, it could be a niece, a nephew, a grandchild, it could be a kid you care about. You simply have to add them prior to August 31st of their junior year in high school. As long as you add those children prior to August 31st of their junior year, you can utilize those points to help offset the cost of their college tuition. When the child enters their senior year, you have to assign the points before August 31st of their senior year. When they apply to college, they submit their application as well as their points along with their application process.
This is a demonstration.
Those points then are utilized to reduce the cost of tuition. So for example, one example is, let's say you have a husband and a wife. They would earn 5,000 points for each policy. If you have a husband and wife and 2 children, you'd earn 5,000 points for the husband, the wife, and 2 children. And you can begin this program with as little as $100 a month. So as little as $100 a month per policy could earn you 5,500 points your first year.
Of Flip
so
for
if
Mac.
you did have a family of 2, such as a husband and a wife, then they would have double points. If the family had a family of 4, then they would have quadruple points and so forth. But why do we say you should utilize a life plan as opposed to a 529? And I know this is probably the question some of you are asking. If you're anything like myself personally, when my children were born, I started 529 plans for them the day they got socials. My children, respectively, are 9 and 4 years of age. They both had 529 plans prior to this plan, and they had considerable amounts in them. However, I'm going to show you why that was actually not the smartest thing for me to do and why it may not be a smart thing for anyone else to do. First of all, in a life insurance plan, there's no amount that I'm restricted to putting in. So for my high net worth clients that make more than the IRS allows, as far as contributions to Roth IRAs, we utilize this plan because they can put as much as they choose to put in there without limit. A 529 plan actually caps them at $13,000. When we talk about taxation of withdrawals, if we pull money out of the life insurance policy, that's actually tax-free. However, if you pull money out of a 529, it has to be used for education expenses. If you don't use it for education expenses, you're taxed and penalized. Now, the next 2 points I'm going to discuss, please pay attention to. If you don't hear anything else I say
This is a
tonight, the
demonstration
next 2
of
points I'm going
Flip4Mac.
to make are essential. Please pay attention. When your child goes to college, they are going to fill out what's called a FAFSA form. This is the Federal Application for Student Aid. This is a form that has to be filled out to ensure your child can receive some type of financial aid. If you have cash accumulated in a life insurance policy, that does not have to be included on that FAFSA form. It's exempt. However, if you have money in a 529, it has to be listed. What that means is the 529 is actually going to reduce the amount of financial aid your child qualifies for. You could have $1 million in your life insurance policy, and it would have no impact on their ability to attain financial aid because it does not have to be listed. The next point I want to make is this. If you were to pass away prematurely before your child reached college, utilizing the life insurance product we talk about,
this is a demonstration
your family
of
would actually
Flip4Mac.
receive a death benefit tax-free. However, if you had a 529 plan, the most your family could have access to is the account value, which even in accessing that account value, they can't utilize it for anything other than college. So if the account is worth $20,000, that's all they have. But that $20,000 can't be used for living expenses. It has to be utilized for college expenses.
This is a demonstration of Flip4Mac.
In some states, insurance contracts where a spouse or a child is the beneficiary are exempt from creditors without dollar limits. In a few states, the same protection is given to annuity contracts. That's Texas Insurance Code 21.22. For my high net worth clients and for doctors, attorneys, anyone who makes a significant income, this is huge. Let me explain why. If you bear with me one moment, I simply want to walk you through why this is such an important part to understand.
This is a demonstration
Life insurance
of
policy
Flip4Mac.
proceeds and cash values are wholly protected from all creditors. All creditors. So what this means is if you were to get sued and you had money in a life insurance policy or an annuity, if it was structured the proper way, again, it has to be structured the proper way, which is what we do every single day. If you were to get sued, those funds would be protected from creditors and predators. That is a huge,
This is a
huge
demonstration
caveat.
of Flip4Mac.
Texas is one of 6 states in which this is applicable. When you look at annuities, every major institution pays out in annuities, whether it's a lottery winning, whether it's an NFL retiree player, they get annuities. Those proceeds are protected. Cash values are protected from creditors of all types. So again, if you work in a profession which there's a liability issue, we may need to talk sooner as opposed to later.
This is a demonstration of Flip4Mac.
But let's talk about the difference between an index fund or an index UL. UL simply stands for Universal Life. First of all, the fund, it invests in an index. An index universal life policy does not invest in an index. It simply tracks an index. A fund can actually rise and fall with the index. What that means is you can lose principal and gains. You can make money, but you can also lose what you make.
This is a demonstration of Flip4Mac.
With the index universal life policy, your principal is never at risk. You can't lose your principal. The fund is an actual security. With an index universal life policy, when your funds grow, they're actually locked in. So if you make 10% one year and the market drops 30% the following year, you're not going to lose that 10% you made. You'll simply not make money that year, but you won't lose any either. Lastly, the index universal life product is a fixed insurance product. So how does it actually work? First of all, most of the premium is actually put into a carrier's general account. Secondly, about 5% is used to buy an option in the index. When the index goes up, whatever you make is actually locked in, which means you can't lose it. When the index goes down, the option expires and nothing is lost. Those are the inner workings and the ins and outs, the basics of how an index universal life product works. So let's take a look at how this is actually illustrated. Let's take a look at an account value of someone who has $100,000. If we take someone who has $100,000 in an account, and let's say the index went up 10%. Well, the index universal life policy would only pay you 8.5%. because in most cases you're going to be capped out at 85% of what the index does.
This
Now,
is
the
a
fund, on the other
demonstration
hand, will
of
pay you
Flip4Mac.
100%. So when the market went up 10%, they made $10,000. The Index Universal Life policy only made $108,000. But in year number 2, the market went down 10%. Now, if you notice, the Index Universal Life policy earned nothing. However, the fund went down 10%. The Index Universal Life policy remained even at $108,000.
This is a demonstration of
Again,
Flip4Mac.
zero is our hero. We don't mind having a 0 year. We just don't want to have a negative year. The following year, it went up 10% again. So the fund, again, is the Index Universal Life policy is going to pay 8.5%, which is going to take this account value to $117,000, whereas the 10% increase here only took it to $108,000. When the market dropped 10% again, remember, 0 is our hero.
This is
we don't mind having a 0 year. We just don't want to have a negative year. So again, this account dropped down to $98,000, while this account held steady at $117,000. When the market went back up 10%, again, the Index Universal Life policy captured 8.5% of that, which took that account to $127,000. The 10% increase here only took this account to $107,000. In year number 6, the market actually dropped 20%.
Of Flip4Mac.
When the market dropped 20%, this account actually dropped to $86,000 in the index fund. The Index Universal Life policy, again, didn't make any money, but if you take a look at the balance, you also didn't lose any money. When the market went up 25%, 85% of that was credited to our account over here, which ended at $154,000, whereas
this is a
it was only
demonstration of
$107,000
Flip4Mac.
in the index fund. Folks, when you take a look at this, it's not about what you make, it's what you keep. It does no good to make 10% if you plan on giving it right back the following year. What we teach is it's not what you make, it's what you keep. It's not what you make, it's what you were able to keep when everyone else was losing money. Moving forward,
This is a
let's
demonstration
take a look at some of the actual
Flip4Mac.
historical performances of this product we actually look at. If we were to take a look at a 25-year snapshot, the last 25 years, 22% of the time, you would have actually earned 0%, 22% of the time. However, 72% of the time, in the last 25 years, you would have made 3% or more.
This is
Almost
a demonstration
60%
of
of the time.
Flip4Mac.
You would have earned 7.5% or more. This particular product is actually capped at 17%, which means the most you can make in any given year is 17%. 20% of the time in the last 25 years, you would have earned 17%. 60% of the time, you would have earned 7.5% or higher.
This is a
So
demonstration
let's take a
of
look at how this
Flip4Mac.
actually plays out. If we take a look at any 5-year period from 1987 to 2011, beginning January 1, 1987 to December 31st, 2011, you could take a look at any 5-year period in that time frame. If you do so, 65% of the time, you would have earned 7.5% or greater. If we take a look at
This
a
is a
10-year period,
demonstration of
any 10-year
Flip4Mac.
period in the last 25 years, 73% of the time, you would have earned 7.5% or greater. But if we take a look at a 20-year period, 100% of the time, your return would have been 7.5% or greater. Folks, if you ask me why my clients
This
and
is a
myself sleep at
demonstration
night,
of
this is why.
Flip4Mac.
Because we understand that it's not about what you make, it's what you keep. If I can make 17% and know that it's mine when I make it and I don't have to lose it, I take that all day long. If I can earn consistently 7.5% to 8% without the fear of losing my principal and knowing that I get to keep my gains, I take it all day, every day, and twice on Sundays. So if we take a look at past
This is a
performance,
demonstration of Flip
what
for
if
Mac.
someone makes too much money to contribute to a Roth IRA? Because that's the case for some people that we talk to. In some cases, if your adjusted gross income is more than the IRS allows, you can't contribute to a Roth IRA. However, let's take a look at this illustration of someone contributing $250 per month for 15 years. If they did that in this product, their account balance would have been $62,000. What this means is in year 16,
This
17,
is a demonstration
18,
of Flip
and
for
19,
Mac.
they could have actually withdrawn $12,287 tax-free each year. Should they continue putting money back to retirement, their account value would have still been $192,000, which means they could have taken $12,200 tax-free in perpetuity for the rest of their life. But if we take a look at someone who
This
has
is a
$500 a
demonstration
month to
of
contribute,
Flip for Mac.
their account value after 15 years would have been $133,000. Now, they could have taken out $26,000 in years 16, 17, 18, and 19. If they continued putting the same $500 away to retirement, their account balance would have been $409,000. What this means is they could have began taking systematic withdrawals of
This is a
$26,000
demonstration
per
of
year
Flip
for the
for
rest
Mac.
of their life, tax-free. But let's take a look at someone who wanted to save $1,000 per month. If they saved $1,000 per month, they could actually have an account value of $276,000, which means in year number 20, they actually could have taken out $71,000 tax-free. Their retirement value at retirement still would have been $841,000, which would have allowed them to supplement their retirement income by
This is a
$71,000
demonstration
per year
of Flip for Mac.
tax-free for the rest of their life. Consider the following. There are no contribution limits. There are no 59.5 age limit restrictions, so if you choose to retire early, you don't have to wait till 59.5 to access your funds. There's no market loss. If you make 15 or 17%, you keep
This is a
15 or
demonstration
17%.
of Flip
You
for
don't
Mac.
have to reset and go back to zero when the market falls. Again, it's not a matter if it falls, it's when it falls. And then lastly, my personal favorite is this. There are no taxes on any of the distributions you take from this particular instrument. Now again, let's recap. No contribution limits, no 59.5 age limit restrictions, no market loss, no taxes associated with the withdrawals. And keep in mind, those withdrawals
This
can be
is a
utilized for any
demonstration
purpose.
of Flip for
If you
Mac.
decide you want to take a trip, if you decide you want to make a purchase, if you decide you want to pay for college, you can utilize those funds for anything you choose to without penalty. So if we take a look at the power of tuition rewards, let's take a look at someone who's saving $225 a month,
This is a demonstration
and they're
of
going to
Flip
do
for
this
Mac.
for a 15-year period. At $225, this person would actually have a cash value of $57,000 after 15 years. However, keep in mind, we still have these 35,000 scholarship points as well. If we add that 57,000 with the 35,000 scholarship points, they now have $93,000 to go towards the cost of college education.
This is
Again,
a
these are tax-free
demonstration of
funds.
Flip for Mac.
If someone had $350 they wanted to save on a monthly basis, they would actually accumulate $91,000 in cash. However, again, we have 35,000 in scholarship points as well, so that would actually give them $126,000 towards college. But let's take a look at someone who chose to save $475 per month. If they did that, they would actually accumulate $124,000 in cash. But if
This
we
is a
add the
demonstration
35,000
of Flip for
scholarship
Mac.
points that come with the policy, this person would actually have $160,000 towards college. Now, why would someone choose to spend their cash to pay for college? That's a really good question, because I have no idea, I have no intention on doing so. When my children go to college, we will utilize their scholarship points because if you recall, we talked earlier about the rule of 72.
This is a
The rule of
demonstration
72
of Flip for
says that
Mac.
the longer you let your principal sit, it continues to double. When my children go to college, they are going to take out student loans because loans do not have to be paid back until 6 months after college graduation. If I allow this money to continue to sit until they graduate, it can almost double in 4 to 6 years. When they graduate, I can then take that cash, pay off the student loans. I
This
can
is a
give them the rest of the
demonstration
money in
of Flip
cash
for
to begin
Mac.
their life with. But let's say your child goes to college for 2 or 3 years and they decide they no longer want to attend college. That's just fine because, again, these funds can be utilized for any reason. So if they choose to drop out of college, mommy and daddy are going to get a retirement bonus. Thanks to them. Now, again, we can train up our children the way we want them to go, and we hope
This
they
is a
don't depart from it.
demonstration
But if they
of
do,
Flip for Mac.
mommy and daddy are going to sleep hard at night and rest well knowing that we've got a retirement bonus because we've been putting money back for them their entire life. Moving forward, so the process works like this. Should someone decide to take advantage of what we offer, not only would they get the insurance policy, but they would also automatically get the guaranteed scholarships that come with it. When the child goes to college, they can take out tax-free withdrawals, but they would also have all of the
This
scholarship
is a
points associated
demonstration
with it as
of
well.
Flip for Mac.
The two of those things combined would actually help supplement the cost of college education. So at this point, should someone be interested, first of all, you can enroll in the Tuition Rewards program with no obligation. All it takes is a meeting allowing us to show you the program. You can enroll. The moment you enroll,
This is a demonstration
you're
of
going
Flip
to
for Mac.
receive points in the program. You're going to get 500 tuition reward points simply for meeting with us, talking to us about the program. We can sign you up. You get 500 tuition reward points, no catches. However, if we are able to help you and you find value in what we offer, the moment you decide to transact business with us, you would actually have a $5,000 tuition report bonus added. So in year one, you'd have 5,500 points towards college tuition.
This is a demonstration of Flip for
Every
Mac.
year, your policy remains in force. You would actually have 2,000 points added to it. This is a snapshot of what the certificate looks like when it comes to your email. When you meet with us and we sign you up, you're going to get a certificate. It's going to come to your email. It's going to tell you, hey, you've received 500 points. And that's the gist of it. It's going to be signed and dated. And the child you choose to use this
This
for,
is a
you can
demonstration
do that when
of
they
Flip for
prepare to
Mac.
go to college. With that being said, on your screen, what you have is the contact information for myself. Again, we want to teach these concepts to as many people are willing to listen. Our goal is to allow people the opportunity to afford a quality education for their children. And more importantly, we want to teach concepts to allow them to retire and not compromise their lifestyle.
This is a demonstration
For our
of
high net
Flip for
worth
Mac.
individuals, we have an extensive network of attorneys and accredited investor specialists that work with our high net worth clients. And we do this day in and day out. Again, it's not about what you make, it's about what you can keep. Our goal is to simply educate, equip, and empower individuals with the concepts needed to get through this tough economic climate. And in doing so, we want to share the gospel with them, and we want
This
to
is
share
a
the love of Christ with them.
demonstration of
That's
Flip
it.
for Mac.
And with that being said, please take a moment, copy down the information on your screen. Should you have any questions, should you want to reach out to myself, my toll-free number is on there as well as the email address. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have. Even if you know of any churches or any other institutions that would like to partner with us, we're definitely open to sharing this message and getting it out to as many people as possible. Again, our goal is not to
This is a
make
demonstration
sales or
of
any of
Flip
those
for
things. We
Mac.
simply want to educate people and allow them to know what's available to make informed decisions. Again, I want to thank you for your time tonight. If you do have questions, you can utilize the chat icon on the right side of your screen to send me a message. If you'd like to schedule an appointment to ask specific questions, not on this particular webinar, please take a moment and send me a quick message utilizing the chat icon, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. Or you can send me an email
This is
as
a
well, and we'll
demonstration
be sure to
of
return those
Flip4Mac.
promptly and schedule time to get with you. Again, thank you so much. Have a great evening, and God bless.